Welcome in, everybody. It's Monday night. It is not football, but we're going to talk football because that's what we do because it's Monday night. So welcome in. This is Dan Harms. He's running the show. I'm just here to be your maitre d'. I mean, whatever the hell I'm talking about. We're going to have some fun. I'm a little bit relaxed. I'm punch drunk. Been on a trip in Las Vegas with a bunch of teenage girls at a volleyball tournament for the last 5 days. 5 days of teenage volleyball competition I'm spent. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk Chiefs. So Dan, how you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm not as relaxed as you are because our Vegas trip was a week and a half before. We have to coordinate these things better in the future, by the way, because we could have been in Vegas at the same time, and that would have been a lot of fun. So next Vegas trip, kids included or not, we'll get on the phone. We'll talk about it because that would be, again, a lot of fun. But I'm doing well. We had a very busy day today. Driving around, trying to figure some things out. Wife sped up a little, she put up for a little bit. She's gonna have to have, me helping out a little bit more. A little knee surgery, no big deal. She's gonna be fine. Oof. So just been a day. So we're doing good, and we're here on a Monday to talk about some food, a little bit of Vegas, and Chiefs. Not the Vegas Raiders, because we don't want to talk about that.
No, I have a picture and it made me almost puke in my mouth to do it. So it was difficult. Well, here's the mama, and I doubt you're in the room at this time. Maybe she is. I don't know. But if you're watching,
she's probably watching downstairs though.
Cheers can get better. Yeah, it's been fun. I kept up. I was really intrigued by rookie camp. We're going to answer your questions tonight. You guys know how this goes. We kibitz for a little bit, and then we're going to get to your questions. You're running the show. We're just here to provide the answers. So get them in there. Put question marks at the beginning. We'll hit all the topics. If you definitely want on the show and want to see your name and lights down here by like the Doxta, get your super chat in. Every single one gets you onto the show. We appreciate you, and you will get an answer. So that said, surprise of the weekend for me, Josh Simmons is better than I thought he was. I thought he was recovering well, but holy cow, he's better than I thought I was. He hit stuff. He hit people. Not hard, just a little punch, but that's okay. I was pretty shocked. How about you?
If anybody had reservations about possibly 2026 being and maybe an idea of when he comes back, at best, we're talking about training camp. He's going to be almost active. He's going to be doing stuff in training camp. This is, again, the perfect scenario for the Chiefs to have him not have to play it down unless absolutely needed in 2025. It's the best possible scenario. So the fact that he's already ahead of schedule, again, that's why the Chiefs did so much work on Josh Simmons. They had to know what was going to happen, how he was feeling. And the fact, again, we've seen the Chiefs pull the trigger on guys that are got some injury stuff going on, right? We've seen that happen. And so far, so good on that front. So that's awesome. And the not so surprising things for me was, Jake Brinkstool just being awesome, because he's pretty awesome. And again, the fact that he was not drafted was a shock to me in UDFA tight end that is going to be a very good receiving tight end for this offense in particular, I think. So I'm very excited about that. And obviously getting to see Jalen Royals just get the football thrown at him a ton in rookie. I know it's rookie training camp. I know it's rookies.
Yep. But it's a flood.
That's all that matters. It's fun.
Yeah. And that's what you got to do. You got to flood them with hits, touches, targets, whatever position you play. You got to throw it all at them now. See what they can learn, especially if you're in an offensive skill position. But you got to see what they have and what they're going to be able to do. Because as it ramps up, especially for Josh, great that he's moving along here. I think in OTAs, he might even get to go in some reps with the ones if it's on air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I mean the ones where it's totally non-contact, not like, hey, we're just not going to go to the ground. I mean like total non-contact, right? But I don't think that it's safe to take him into camp and try to get him reps and that kind of thing, especially when pad comes on and all that kind of stuff. So like get him as much immersion into the offense as you can right now so that he can go study. and he can work on his rehab, and maybe
Yeah.
late year, maybe he can play some 6-man, maybe a little bit. You never know. I think it's a great way forward to kind of like test the water, smoothing in. You don't got to dive in the deep end. Don't have to, and we don't have to just because he's doing this today expect that he's going to be live in training camp and ready to take that. So as Dan said, 2026 just makes the runway that much cleaner.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited. He did have another comment before we move on to the other guys. Chip Kelly is not Andy Reid, but I found it very entertaining that he's like, this offense don't scare me. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Okay, bro.
I mean, for offensive linemen, maybe it's not. I know you have a lot more, and since Patrick can handle a lot more of the protection calls, I think the big shock is going to be training camp. You might feel good about rookie camp now, but Andy Reid runs training camp like no other coach does, like they're back in the 90s. So in Missouri, in the humidity and everything that goes on there, you're going to be in for a little bit of a rude awakening, rookie. So I appreciate the confidence, but also get ready for training camp because it's going to hit you.
We are ready. And as Casey did say, in Beach, we trust, and you have to continue to. I thought it was a great draft. I know the grades are all over the place. We talk about that on Locked On Chiefs today, so make sure you go check that out. We got a lot to cover here, but before we get to the questions, just other takeaways from either the weekend or, on hindsight. Obviously, Brittany's still huge for both of us. Had him on our board. Who else do you like? What else did you see?
Noah Williams already showing off the ball skills, a couple of one-handed catches that lazily, stuff like that. Like he's going to be a guy for. And one thing that I want to take into consideration for all this is that the defense. Gelati. Excuse me, I did it again. I was right. Yeah. Ashton Gelati. They're talking about the playbook. Bassa has been, it's a lot. Basically, the first thing that they say is it's a lot. Yep. That tells you exactly the kind of players that this team drafts. They want smart players that are going to be able to pick up the defense at some point within the first year. If you go back to the rookies that we've seen, like at linebacker, defensive end, maybe even safety to an extent, they start getting more playing time around that bye week, right? So they get integrated first. And then they go through the process of learning the playbook, how it works on the field, in game, the speed of the game. So you're not learning too much at one time, and then you can adapt to the playbook at the speed. So you get immersed in it now through training camp, then you get the speed. And they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and put you in this situation here, let you get your feet wet. And then it's like, all right, if we think you can handle more after the bye week, we're going to go ahead and give you in a little bit more here to see what you can handle. So a guy like Noah Williams, I think, is going to be in a situation where he probably plays more than the rest of them out the gate, because I personally believe that he has the talent to be a starter in this defense. And then Ashton Gelati is going to come in after the bye week. You might see him incorporated more. Honestly, it comes down to how Mike Dana is playing, injuries, and how FAU are playing. Because if FAU is playing well, I don't think you're going to see much of Ashton Gelati in terms of outside of a third down pass rusher who condenses inside. You might not see a whole lot of him if FAU is actually playing well. If Omendihu's playing well, if Mike Dana, if Karlaftis, if those guys are all playing at a pretty high level, you might not see a ton of him. But overall, the main takeaway for me is that when we see the Chiefs drafting defensive players, it's because they think that they are smart enough to handle the playbook. And that's a big thing for them.
Yeah, it's a common thread, not just through this draft class, but all the draft classes. I'm actually really intrigued by the concept of who's in base, whether it's Norman Lott or whether it's Mike Dana on passing downs. And who else reduces in, because if it's not going to be them, or if you're going to keep the rotation fresh. I love the concept of bringing in Ashton to put a Georgia spot and reduce George inside. George against guard makes me very happy. So I like the concept. And I think that goes to the bigger plan here that, as you just rattled off, FAU, Charles Omenihu, like there's so many that the rotation might get mixed and matched. And that's a great thing for Cullen and Spags front, is to not have to let them know who's coming at you.
Exactly. So it's just a lot of fun. Like, I think this is going to be a good idea of where the Chiefs defense will be in 2 years. You're going to get a good glimpse of that, I think, this year. Lots of youth, more youth is being injected into the defense. And then when a year or two down the road, when you see some of these guys like Christian Fulton to come up on contract, or FAU, Charles Menahue, Mike Dana, even some of the linebackers, not Nick Bolton, obviously, but Drew Tranquil, Leo Chanel. I think he's going to be in Kansas City for a long time regardless, but you're going to see a little bit of turnover these next couple of years. And these guys that are coming in right now are the ones that you need to start keeping an eye on to see how they're taking those steps, because they're going to be playing a lot more snaps in a few years.
You are absolutely right. We're going to move to your questions here, folks. But remember, check out our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. You can find them below. Use our code RGR. There's a link in the description as well. You can get the gear, including the goats, right now at the RGR store. And I have some new ones coming. I got to finalize them. I took a little time off after the draft. I might have to take a little bit more because we got a lot more kids sports going on here right about now. So be prepared. But if you would support us, we would support you, and we very much appreciate that. Any of these things help us along the way, so we very much appreciate it. We're going to get this one's for Dan, so I'm going to do my best voice here. Skip Bayless, 20v1. A KC fan argued with Skip that a fully healthy KC team and no AFC team would have beat the Eagles because they had one of the best Super Bowl rosters of all time. Thoughts?
Interesting. No. I understand the premise of these types of shows. I can't stand him as a person, as an analyst, any of that. But arguing that a fully healthy Kansas City Chiefs team could not have beaten them is false. I don't believe they had one of the best rosters of all time. Did they have a very good roster? Absolutely. A very well-designed team to play that Chiefs team specifically. What I will say is that if the Chiefs could have done anything differently at full health, if Charles Menahue was at full health, the defense at full health, Jalen Hurts does not have that game.
Agreed.
Doesn't have the game. Now it comes down to the offense being able to play on time, which is still a thing, still a problem. But I believe a fully healthy team gives them a far better run for their money. And at the very least, it's close. I don't necessarily think that they win the game anyway, but I don't think that there's any world where they couldn't have beaten them. I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. And if Rashee Rice on that team, oh boy, tell me they don't beat them. Tell me they can't even attempt to beat them. It's another player they have to worry about. If Travis Kelce can't do it, guess what? We have Rashee Rice, who knows exactly the kind of places to stop and start, and then you add what Xavier really did later in the football game. You cannot tell me there's any way, shape, or form that a team that is fully healthy for the Kansas City cannot beat that team.
Yeah. Any team, any day, right? Like even lesser teams, but especially that one. There's always an option. Thank you, Micah. And here's another one from him. Todd McShay has KC picking Clemson receiver Antonio Williams in 26. He said that Arch Manning and Nico Lamaleva, I think that's how I say it, won't be in the 26 draft. Your thoughts? I don't think Arch Manning should be in that draft. I agree. I don't care how good he does out the gate. It's not enough experience to get you ready for the NFL, and nobody knows that better than his dad, his uncles, and his grandpa. So I don't think that's going to be an option myself. But I do love the concept of what this does is if it's a light quarterback class, what does that do for the Chiefs' options, assuming that they're picking at 32 or 31? Again, we're going to go with 32. That's what we're going to do. So like how that falls, I can't say whether Tony Williams is going to be the guy or not. I mean, there's plenty of other things. I will say this. I think the wide receiver position has had a lot of investment recently. Yes, Antonio Brown will be the elder statesman. He's on a one-year contract. You might want to choose to replace him. But right now, you could see at least 3 guys still on rookie contracts be your starters. That's a possibility. I don't know that you can say that about the cornerback position. So I would be watching corners more because you got McDuffie. Who knows what happens with the rest of the Fab Five with Jalen, Joshua, Najee in particular. Fulton's on a 1 year. Obviously, Williams plays into that scenario, but that's just 2 guys at this point. So I would be more concerned on the corner side of the outside than on the wide receiver.
I'll tell you right now, there's a 0% chance that the Chiefs will draft Antonio Williams in the first round, or the second round, or the third round, or the fourth round, because he is a possession-based ball-winning receiver.
Which
That's
they
what he
couldn't
does.
had any time the last 3 years.
They don't draft him. They don't draft him. They just don't do it. So unless Antonio Williams all of a sudden becomes someone that can create separation, that can be explosive after the catch in a yards after catch realm and be a speed demon down the field where you see the combination between him and Xavier Worthy and Jalen Royals and Rashee Rice, no. Plus, like you said, that would be 4 players in 4 years with investment. I know everyone says that Jalen Royals will be a 4th round pick. I tell you what, again, he was a top 50 player for me. He would have gone higher if he didn't have a foot injury. Would have, period, end of story. He would have gone higher. So we're talking day 2 draft capital and day 1 draft capital in the last 3 years, essentially. I don't think they're going to do that. Like Ryan said, defensive end is on the board too. Okay. Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana might be gone. FAU could be gone after this year too. You could have George Karlaftis, by the way, who could end up traded if they have to sign, if it comes down to him or Trent McDuffie. There could be a lot of overturn happening here in Kansas City with the defensive end. Like you said, cornerback position. There's too much to just, this is why doing stuff like this makes no sense. Makes no sense. Also, Arch Manning shouldn't even consider it. It shouldn't. 2027 should be the earliest he talks about the draft. And Nico, the same, because that guy got 0 development at Tennessee because Tennessee does not develop quarterbacks. And now he's going to UCLA, where you think he's going to get a ton of development there? No, unless he just, does it on his own. He's not going to be able to transfer to UCLA in year 1, and it's just going to click. It's just not going to. He's uber talented.
And they're going to want to run the ball.
Yeah, he's uber talented, but he's inaccurate. This is the same thing as the Drew Aller conversation we've had for 3 years. Yes, Drew Aller would have gone in the first round of this draft. Is it because he deserves to go in the first round? No. He's inaccurate. His lower half is not on time with his upper half. You see these quarterbacks that have all the raw talent in the world. When's the last time Penn State developed a quarterback? When's the last time Tennessee developed a quarterback? And again, we're not talking about helmet scouting. We're talking about systems that just don't develop guys. It's the same for the Georgia defense. They don't develop defensive ends. Not one defensive end has come out of Georgia that is developed and is a product that has a lot of upside and a really, really high floor with ability to come in and just be a great guy right away. So we have to be able to particulate these 2 quarterbacks. So neither of them should be coming out in 2026 unless something crazy, drastic changes from now until the end of the college football season.
Yeah, I hope not. Somebody will emerge. Nobody thought this draft was going to be at the top what it was anyway. So we'll get there once we see guys hit the field. Micah's last one is he's always the first in the door. Appreciate you, buddy. What happens in 2027 to free agent Trent McDuffie? Nothing, because he will not be a free agent. He will be on that 5th year. They will extend him. It is all but a done deal. It just comes down to the math. I think that is the signal here.
You
Maybe
don't
George.
let all pro young players out the door. You just don't do it.
It's bad business. Bad business. Thank you, Micah. What Chiefs vets are on the biggest risk of being cut or traded given draft and free agency? I assume, Lee, that you mean this year. That is a good question. Could Juwan Taylor get traded? I don't know. Would anybody give him? So. If Simmons is ready, Jalen Moore's probably the option at right. But who's going to give you anything for a $26.8 million contract for Juwan Taylor? Nobody. You're not going to trade more because the future here is Simmons, Moore, and Suamataia, 2 of them playing tackle, the other one playing guard, whoever the hell it is, right?
Correct.
Okay. So that's where we are. So is anybody standing out to you on the veteran side?
Not really. I mean, the veterans that they brought back are guys on 1-year contracts that most other teams won't have the value for. And they bring guys in that are scheme specific. Unless you're going to trade Charles Omenihu, who, again, 1-year deal that nobody else wanted in free agency, you're probably not going to be able to get a ton. I don't see a lot of guys on this team that hold a lot of trade value unless they are the stars. And then you say, no, we don't want to trade those guys. We want to keep them in house. The only thing I will say is you have Trace Smith, who does not have a long-term contract and is on the franchise tag. I don't think at this point they would have traded him in terms of they picked him over their all pro because they're all pro guard that can give you tackle in Joe Thuney. They picked him over that guy. So ideally you trade him and your other Pro Bowl guard. Bad business. That's bad business. So you bring one in and you expect to get a contract done, but it's tumultuous at this point for me. I'm a little nervous about what happens with this contract because it has not been done yet, and because their language changed so drastically after they got it done. They were just like, "We're optimistic."
We're gonna see how this goes.
Yeah, well, we're gonna kind of wait and see. Yeah, that's not great to hear after you're like gung ho about getting the contract done.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Lee's next one. Given what the Chiefs have done this offseason, what changes will they make to their game plan on offense and defense? Pick a side. What do you got?
All right. I'm going to go on the defensive side because I don't think there's a whole lot of changing they have to do. It's more about finding ways to get the pressure needed to sustain the outside. Ideally, they want to be able to play zone or man coverage, but if you're playing either of them at some point, if you can't get pressure, it won't matter how good your guys are. No Williams, Christian Fulton, give them the flexibility to play starters on the outside. They can play zone, they can play man with Trent McDuffie on the inside or the outside, regardless of what they want to do. And then again, they're filling out their safety room. Mike Edwards gives them a free safety guy that can play that. Predominantly, they're going to play too high. And Jaden Hicks is going to give them a chess piece in the secondary that can do a lot of different things. But overall, ideally, this is you now have an explosive pass rusher in Omar Norman-Lott, who I will be reviewing for Wednesday. It's projection. We'll give you that much. It is all projection. And the Chiefs knew it when they took him in the second round, a fifth-year player. It's projection. But you try to see how that works in your defense, right? We've talked about this many times where the Chiefs are a inside-out defense, unless Chris Jones is on the outside. He is the guy that can move around and do whatever they want to. But if he is on the inside, this is an inside-out pass rush where you want to get quick pressure inside. You put him next to Omar Norman-Lott, you're probably going to get some quick pressure at some point. And then your defensive ends, who don't always win quickly, you're trying to funnel quarterbacks to them, right? You want to move them outside the pocket generally because you're less accurate outside the pocket for the most part, and then you give your defense half field to kind of recover. So that's really what this comes down to for me. It's about improving the pass rush that isn't just Chris Jones. They need more than just Chris Jones because the defense has been very good over the last couple of years. And in 2023, when they won the Super Bowl, they got a lot of sacks. They got a lot of them. Last year, didn't get so many. And in the Super Bowl, they didn't even touch Jalen Hurts. Like, it was impossible. So you need to improve that.
Yeah, every which way that you can. And that flushing to the edges makes sense. On the offensive side, I really feel like it's not much change. Like, and that is to say, it'll look different than it did last year, because last year had to be changed because their plan went to crap when you had the injuries. Like this plan with Hollywood and Rasheed and Xavier, that was the plan last year. And so they're kind of going back to the well, like that's going to look the way that they wanted it to a year ago. The difference for me is that you had to go out and get Hunt because of Pop's injury. Can either of them sustain and still bring the juice every time? We don't know. I don't know that we saw enough of Pops last year to really feel like he's 100% recovered. Hopefully this offseason has changed some of that. We'll have to see. Every super high Rashard Smith, as they should be, really interesting prospect. Is he going to become your number one RB? No way in hell. That's not his game. He cannot read between the tackles. He cannot survive between the tackles. He is a guy that needs to get to the edges at all costs in any which way that he can, preferably in the pass game, in my opinion. But that combination, hopefully, garners more actual carries from Andy Reid's play call. And that's the one thing that you hear me bitch about every single year, all year. he ain't gonna change it now. I'm just saying.
At the end of the day, I think we just need to see a little bit more efficiency and explosiveness. Actually, really not efficiency because they were efficient. They weren't explosive at all. You need to up the explosive run rate. If the explosive run rate goes up, that's all that matters. The offense is going to be efficient no matter what.
Yeah. It gives you a 2 to your 1-2 punch. Because right now it's 2 and a kind of, a jab.
Yeah.
You know, like that's all they had. And that also means that they may not be done. Elijah Mitchell might be part of the answer as well. And that's part of why Smith as a starter is not a done deal here, folks.
Correct.
So that's something you got to keep in mind here. I am having a flare up on this laptop, so I'm going to have to beg off for a second. So feel free.
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate you, Steve. Thank you for your question. What will some interesting position battles between our draft picks and our unrestricted free agents be our undrafted free agents that we signed in March and April? So I don't know if you're going to see a ton of draft pick versus those guys, but let me pull up the UDFAs real quick because I want to make sure we get at least a better idea of some of those camp battles that we could see. Because, I mean, ideally, we're talking about Jake Bringstool. I believe he's going to make the roster, but they didn't draft another tight end. I know they brought another one on, but I don't think they're going to see anybody else really compete for that. So that's, again, my opinion. So what do we got here? 2025. All right. List. Ooh, that's a lot of them. That can't be right. All right. So the guys that are like namely on my mind again were Jake Bringstow. I think Elijah Badger is another one who is getting some buzz right now. I don't believe he's going to make the roster. Let's see, running backs that were brought in. Nobody that I know outside of Brashard Smith who was drafted. I don't think they're going to see much battle there. They brought Snoop Connor back apparently, so he's been invited. Let's see. You got Spencer Petras. I think a lot of people know that Utah State former Iowa quarterback who threw the football to Jalen Royals at Utah State before he got hurt. There is just a interesting thing to see there. Let's look over on the defensive side because that's where you probably could see a little bit more crossover specifically. Basa's for me the only guy that really I think can come in and contribute, whether on defense or special teams, right away. And cornerback, again, it's really just Williams for me. I don't know most of the guys that were brought in, but a couple of safeties as well. I'll be honest, I don't see a ton of these guys really making a huge impact or making camp battles in this specific situation because I think the Chiefs are pretty set at what we expect to see, but camp will show us exactly what that is, Steve. So I don't have a great idea outside of maybe you see some corners try to bump out a guy like Josh Williams or Najee Johnson. That might be a situation you find as well. Overall, that might be the back end of corners, the only one that I can really see happening with some of those guys. So I couldn't give you a better answer for that. All right, Chestmaster. Trying to get over the Blues loss from last night. I apologize. Double overtime, sudden death, game 7, not fun. Especially when you had a 3-1 lead going into the third period. So I'm sorry for that. Do y'all have an NBA and NHL teams you root for? I know Dan is a Wings fan. I love the show. Keep me going through these scary times. I know that Ryan watches the Avalanche, if I'm not mistaken. So he's probably upset about them losing in that game 7 against the Dallas Stars. He shook his head. So yeah, he's pretty upset about that one. Which again, another fair thing to be upset about in a game 7 where you have a lead and lose on honestly, Ryan's probably stings a little bit more because Ratnan was an ex-Avalanche player who scored a hat trick in the third period to beat them. So he's probably a little more salty about that.
It's worse than that. Miko's my guy. Ratnan's my guy. Like, I was pissed when they traded him. Like, him and Landeskog, I just go to see them hit people. That just to see that, and I literally looked at my wife and I was like, so what you get for trading away your stars for nothing? For nothing. Pissed me off.
He's not an NBA guy by any means, I don't believe. So for me, I only really watch the playoffs and the Pistons when they're good. I'm a Pistons fan, but they haven't been good since 08, maybe 06, 07. Like that's the time frame. They won in 04. So that was the Chauncey Billups, the Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, the Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince. Like that was the golden age for me with being a Pistons fan. Even before then, when they had Grant Hill and Jerry Stackhouse, like I love those guys. But I'm a Pistons fan, and even though they lost to the Knicks, I have things to say about the Knicks that we'll probably talk about for a members stream because I'm very mad at that. But overall, I'm working on the members stream, guys. We've had some things pop up, but I will get to that as well this week. So yes, I do. I'm a Wings fan, Pistons fan. I'm basically Michigan everything except for the Chiefs, and I root for the Lions too. So
it counts. It's perfectly legit. Me and the Nordiques are not friends right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I bet.
Sons of bitches. I'm just gonna mumble into the microphone for the next hour. Don't worry about it. Which UDFAs could you see making the roster? Did you cover this one already?
Kind of. We talked a little bit about when Steve's question because I don't think there's any other real UDFA draft pick camp battles to be looking at outside of Brittany Stool just again making the roster. I think he's going to make the roster.
I'll tell you this: I don't think he'll make the 53, but I think every offensive tackle that hopes to land on the practice squad should be scared of Isapole. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that too. He's got a real chance. I don't think Elijah Badger is going to make it either, but it wouldn't shock me if they really didn't want to lose him to another team. If the Chiefs feel like Brashard Smith gives them a lot more than Nico Remigio does, that he doesn't make the roster, because I feel like he would just go back to the practice squad, and then they cut Sky Moore, and you might see him stick around as that last wide receiver if they don't want to lose him. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, I won't be either. Nothing will shock me at this point when it comes to wideouts. Nothing. Okay, I'm gonna take it now. Oh, now I'm flustered. I try to let stuff go. I try to let it go. I had Vegas Knights fans shouting at me yesterday, and I'm over it.
I'm sorry.
The plan if Simmons is ready and beats out Moore. I don't know if there's a plan. I don't know if they could see that coming, but if it happened, it's probably still be cautious and leave him on the bench. But if it's just glaring and he's just too good, too fast, Moore could be your swing, or you could give him a shot to play over Juwan.
This is going to be very interesting. If Joshua Simmons comes in, he just dominates people, and there's just no way. I could see this going the exact same way that it was with Patrick Mahomes. Just don't play him. You just don't play him. You just let it happen because this is your plan this year. And unless Juwan Taylor is just the worst right tackle that he's ever been in his career this year, and you guys are figuring it out, don't rush him back to contact too quickly. You cannot mess around with this stuff. So if he's just being awesome and you're just like, yeah, this is why we drafted this guy, you wait, and you wait until you can't anymore. I know that's scary. I know you don't want to do it, but you might have to. Patience. Don't let him rush it.
Patience you show, Padawan. Do not rush stuff. Good God. It's a good problem to have. Let me put it that way.
Exactly.
Let's hope that that's the way it goes down. Thanks, Des. Good to see you, pal. And thank you for 2 years. Joking, Kenneth. But did the Chiefs take Royals to cook Maxwell Hairston like he did at the Senior Bowl to once again knock the Bills out of the playoffs? It feels inevitable in the team's draft history. You saw it up close, and I know he got the better of him. Was it that drastic?
I mean, I'll say this. He didn't even look fully healthy.
Yeah,
Jalen Royals looked like he was a step and a half slow, and he was still cooking fools at the release point. He was just beating guys. And I'm going to tell you this right now. There is not one receiver that the Chiefs have in their starting four that can't cook Maxwell Hairston. It can't. They can. And that's not a diss. I like Maxwell. I think he's a very good player. But in terms of physicality at the line of scrimmage,
right?
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously Xavier and Hollywood aren't the most physical guys.
Right.
You think they're going to have Harrison in press coverage? No, they want to use him in off coverage a little bit more to be that. Okay, well, if you're going to try and beat me with speed, they're also not going to. I know Maxwell's fast. I know they're not going to put him in press coverage on Xavier. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They
too
won't
narrow
do
a margin. It's too narrow a margin,
Yeah.
even with his speed.
So yeah, I think that Royals can out physical him. There's no shot in that he's going to win. I mean, he was beating him on a hurt foot essentially at the Senior Bowl. Rashee Rice, it's not close. It's really not close. And then for Hollywood, it's the tools that he has and the efficiency and the release package. He can beat him that way. So again, I like Maxwell. I think he's a good player. I thought the Bills overdrafted him, and I don't think it's going to really help their defense all that much in terms of how they match up versus the Chiefs. He's a good player. He fits that defense. He will play well for them. I don't think he inherently helps them match up better versus the Chiefs.
Against the Chiefs. I'm with you. That makes a lot of sense. And I do like the player too. Who do you think CB6 will be? Johnson has special teams, but Williams, although inconsistent, at least sometimes, has played well. And that's the rub, is who can do more for you now in this echelon when you know Fulton's going to play snaps?
Yeah.
When you know Jalen has reclaimed the lead of you three guys that aren't Trent McDuffie in this class, right? I think the door's wide open still. How do you feel about it?
It could be anybody, and it should be, honestly. This is going to be an open competition. Josh Williams was fighting for the CB2 spot last year. He was. And the fall from grace is real. So I think that there's a real opportunity here for that's another thing I mentioned with Steven's question about CB at the back end of the CB spot could be up for grabs for any of the cornerbacks they brought in as UDFA. It could be up for grabs.
And I'll tell you, the guy that maybe has the inside on both those guys is CRW.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish they would try him outside, but they won't.
I don't have to see him outside. I know he can go out there in a pinch, but I know they want the length. So I ain't too worried about it. But okay, so you and I see it pretty similarly. Kingsley's done at LT. With a year at left guard, could we see him at right tackle when Juwan is gone? Thank you for being a member, Beach. We appreciate it. I see that as a longer shot than Simmons goes to left and Moore goes over to right in a year from now. Only because I think Kingsley has a chance to dominate as a left guard. He's more mobile than Joe Thuney ever was. He's good in space, and that length at guard is more deadly to help him avoid the things that hurt him. You know what I mean? And in the phone booth, I don't know. I think he can be dominant.
I don't necessarily think he's done at tackle, but again, we don't know. The fact that you have Moore for 2 years could be a development period. And I'd be perfectly fine with taking 2 years to develop Kingsley Suamataia, but he plays guard first. I have zero problem with that because, again, it will teach him how to use the length properly anyway. Because defensive tackles are going to want to get inside and push you and be physical with you. If you can keep him at bay and use that length, it will only help him as a tackle. Because in order to beat these guys on the outside, you have to know how to use your length. And don't think he knows how to use it. Again, I learned a lot more about this process than I did the year before. So maybe if I had learned a little bit more about that before, about trying to figure out how these guys use their length and how to actually weaponize it instead of it being more of a reactionary tool, which going back to my mental notes on Kingsley, it was more of a reactionary tool. That's something that you have to really think about. So overall, I think what we know now is that Kingsley had a bit more of a development arc that we thought. But at the end of the day, if he ends up at left guard and Jalen Moore ends up as your right tackle with Simmons at left, that's a really good situation, I think, to be in when you have Creed Humphrey at center.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And in the end, the reason he was drafted is because of his athleticism. He's just as athletic guard as he is at tackle. So if that's the way that it works and you still have him as one of your top 5, that just made your line stronger. And that's all that matters. Because you're going to see one of my newer designs, some of you are going to dig it, some of you may not, but pay attention to the back because the back's what's important because it's going to be all about who's where to do the job that is job number one and keep opposing jerseys off of Patrick Mahomes. That's what it's about.
That's all that matters.
Terry, who's your matchup when we play week 1? I don't know. They haven't announced the schedule
They
yet.
haven't
When does that
released
come
the
out?
schedule.
2 weeks?
A few weeks. Yeah, I think so. I think it's 2 weeks from Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, or a week from Wednesday. I'm not sure. But yeah, sorry, Terry, we don't have the schedule yet.
No, we don't get it leaked. Some people do, and some people get it and it's real. So we'll tell you when we know. Kevin, are Steele and Moore getting cut this year? Steele's up against it. They have a ton of running backs. They need to get explosive there. Carson does not make them more explosive. Carson is a grinder. But I will say this. Carson or Casey fills a role that Andy Reid really wants to have. They want to have a fullback, even if they don't use him. Ask Sherm, ask Mike Burton. Neither of them got used enough for what they were capable of, but they wanted to have him around. And I do think the fullback role keeps one of them on the roster.
Yeah, I think right now we're seeing kind of a fullback resurgence, at least in an idea sense, where teams around the NFL are saying, well, if we're going to run the football, let's have a fullback so we can get you that extra blocker, so we can get downhill quickly, so we can try to use that explosive element to the run game that they need now, that defenses are saying, hey, stop throwing it on us, stop throwing it.
Uncle.
We're done.
Kenneth, with time to digest the draft, if you could change one pick, make a different trade, what would it be? AKA, how is Ryan finding a way to get Ty Robinson? Well, see, so here's the thing, is what you do is you take that 5th and you forego Bossa right there, and you hope that he lasts a little bit longer. You trade down out of that in order to go back up and get 95 to like 87. Where did Ty go? It's like 84 or something like that. And maybe you flip him and Ashton. I don't know. There's a way. But he is one of the targets that if I was going to rehash this draft, that would be one of the things that I would try to do, because I really do believe in his upside.
So I'm going to be honest, guys. I didn't like the Gelati pick very much, just in terms of where I thought he should go and where the Chiefs drafted him. I thought it was a bit of an over pick. I don't have like an immediate who I would have drafted instead of, but because it's my personal opinion, I would have drafted any one of the really good pass rushers available. Braden Swinson would have been fun a lot. And is he a Spags fit? No. But is he one of the best pass rushers in the class, in my opinion? Yes. Yes, he was. Man, but again, this is not a fit for the defense. So Swinson didn't make any sense. Again, I understand. I know why. You guys, I broke it all down last week. It makes perfect sense why they drafted him. I personally would not have done it, but I understand it.
Did you come away happier or more upset with his selection?
About the same.
Yeah.
I feel I'm still less optimistic about the athleticism stuff against NFL tackles. I don't know if he's going to be able to threaten the edge. I really don't. So we'll find out.
Okay. All right. I'm much more comfortable, so we're going to call me relaxed dude this week. Any surprise cuts you might foresee coming? Any vibes you're getting?
I'm not trying to pick on you, Patrick. We get this every single week, and I don't have good ones for you. I really don't. I think that the only surprise people might be about is Carson Steele, because I do think that there's a very good chance he gets cut, especially if the UDFA guy they brought in that you just mentioned gives them more in all aspects, which he very well could. And because they have so many options at running back in the room anyway that give exactly that, it wouldn't be surprising to me if Carson Steele just wasn't on the roster at the end of training camp.
That's fair. That definitely is fair. They let Ferkser go, if you guys didn't pick up on that. They brought in Trey Watson, but that's pretty much just for this camp. I'm trying to look here real quick just to see, where did they list Casey? And I'm not seeing it.
I don't know. I thought it was fullback / tight end, which is
what they usually do. And Carson's my guy, but Casey's Jayhawk. So if it comes down to the battle.
But they did list him purely as tight end, which is interesting to me.
It really is, isn't it? Because I wouldn't have done that. I will tell you, and this might be a weird one. I'm comfortable making weird ones here. eerily and surprised to me, I'm not sure what's going on with this right now, but I'm not sure if Matt Araiza is as comfortable as he ought to be. You know what I mean?
Okay. I think that's fair.
I didn't expect that. Eddie, how do you say that? Zaplicki? Is that how we say that?
I don't know. You might be right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I usually butcher last names, especially Slavic ones. So cheers. Sorry, guys. Should Rashard Smith and Royals should have went higher in the draft from where they were drafted? Do you agree with both of those?
I would say yes on both.
Okay.
But I mean, Smith is running back in the eye of the beholder stuff, right? You have to remember you can be higher on him as a player, but he had 1 year of running back experience. NFL teams are not just going to say, yeah, let's draft him in the 4th round because of that. If you want to draft him in the 4th round, he can be a really good special teams player for us. Yeah, okay, fine. But I think ideally is because he wants to be a running back, and there's still development that has to happen. He is not as far along the process as Tyrone Tracy was last year. Tyrone Tracy was essentially a running back. He knew how to play the position. He was good at pass protection, at least in terms of he had all the tools to be able to do it. You just have to fix some of the technical stuff. But he kind of came in to New York last year and was just a very good running back. Rashard Smith has a ways to go in that regard. So I understand teams saying, let's just wait till the 7th round.
I got you. Thank you for this, Sean. Appreciate you checking it out. One of our members double checked it. So schedule release next week.
Oh, thank you.
So good. I'm not as far behind as I thought. Thanks, bud. Perry, thank you for being a member as well. How many and who of the UDFAs take spots from the current practice squad? The practice squad. I'm not talking about making the 53. I'm talking about the practice squad. I get visions of a guy named De Laurent. And if you missed Mitch Morse a couple weeks before the draft, he was saying, who's some of the most badass players that no one ever talks about. He's this French dude that played with me in Kansas City, and he was nasty as hell. And so maybe Paxton can be a guy that makes a practice squad as another quarterback. I don't know. Paxton De Laurent.
I have no idea. Honestly, Perry, I'll be honest right now. I don't know a ton about the UDFA guys. I don't know a lot of them. A couple of them, because we expected them to get drafted, I know of, but a lot of them I don't have eyes on, and I don't have a good answer for you, unfortunately. Now, would I be shocked 3 or 4 of them pushed some of the current guys out? No, because the Chiefs and NFL teams like to keep blood kind of pumping there, right? They want to keep new talent there that might have more development, stuff like that. So do I think it's going to be a whole change of the guard? No, but I think 3 or 4 guys probably stand a chance.
And we've mentioned 3 of the ones of the priority free agents, which would be the ones that you really think have the best option in Pole and Badger and Brennan Stool. Those are probably the most likely.
Yeah.
See if my mouse will work again. Can we bring in Doug Peterson as co-offense coordinator? I mean, put the whole band back together. Might as well get EB back too. I mean, what the hell?
He's a running backs coach for the Bears now, but yeah, why not?
Oh, did he take that job? I couldn't remember. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think there's a possibility, but Doug's been a head coach. I don't think he's coming back to work with Matt again.
I hope not. And it's nothing against him. I'm so tired of the same guys. His offense was not good. He's not good in Jacksonville. It was not good, guys. It just wasn't.
That's fair. Beefy has a great question, and thanks for being a member, Beefy. Dan, you often say that teams don't develop wide receivers. Which programs do you think do the best jobs at developing receivers?
So specifically, I don't know if I've ever said wide receiver, but typically colleges everywhere aren't fantastic at it. The one guy that I know does it for an absolute fact is at Ohio State right now. Their offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline / wide receivers coach, is the best wide receiver developer in the country. The best.
Freaking tear the last 5 years.
Bar none. The best. I don't know who worked with Nick Saban when it was Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, that their run Amari Cooper. I don't know who that was. You have some pockets here and there. There aren't
LSU over the years.
Yeah, I think LSU does a pretty decent job as well, but typically, I don't know if teams always do a great job of developing players in general, but overall, you do see like pockets of players that come out and they're good and they consistently do that. I mean, Ohio State's going to be doing this for a long, long time, because I don't know if Brian Hartline's ever going to leave, but if he does, he's going to be a very rich man in the NFL if he ever gets there, because I think he needs to help some of these young guys that develop at a slower rate.
Agreed. FLDB, thank you, brother. Almost 4 years. You're right there. And we couldn't do this without you, especially on the Discord side, buddy. I appreciate you. If you guys want to be members and you want to be like FLDB, get in there. And you can talk to him in the Discord. Only our members get in there. So all you got to do is join up, hit the rookie level or above, and you can get into it. Super, super simple. Thanks, Frankie. You're the man. And I misclicked here just because I do stuff like that. Dan, as you know, I am hurt that Caleb Johnson fell a bit and the Chiefs didn't select him. But will he will be a beast for the Steelers? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be, again, I feel like he's the Le'Veon Bell reincarnate for that offense, and that scares me a little bit, but that's how he moves, in my opinion.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, a true outside zone back. Yeah?
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. Real KB, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you being a member and for the super chat support.
Thank you.
Joe, nice to see you. We're going to speed up just a little bit, folks, because we're hitting the top of the hour here soon. With the new NFL rules increasing kicking returns, plus why not go back to old kicking rules when the NFL had kicks being returned? It's a fair point. Kind of messed with it. Now they're trying to backtrack it, right? Yet they're still trying to control collisions. I think that's the bottom line, is they're still trying to control collisions.
They are, and I'm going to be honest, it feels like they're trying to make Sam Schwartzstein feel important. They gave that this was his idea. They took it, they're tweaking it. They have him on NFL on the Amazon streams talking about all this stuff. I couldn't care less about you talking during the games, dude. I couldn't care less. At the end of the day, I think they're trying to prop him up a little bit and give him a platform, but also tweaking everything about the rule. It wasn't a great rule to begin with at all. It didn't change much of anything. If anything, it made kickers like just kick it out of bounds. We don't, or kick it down. We don't care. It's not a penalty. The teams didn't care.
Took what little skill there was out of it.
Yeah.
Just blasted out the end zone. Travis, thank you. Jason Kelsey said that he can tell within the first practice if someone is going to be solid. What do you think the players see within the first practice if a player can be solid or not? Well, like, what do they base that on? And my personal belief would be, did he do anything to get the advantage on me? Did he do anything that I've seen a vet do that gives me trouble? Something like that. That isn't just, hey, I had my way with him, right? Did you put up a fight?
Did you adjust? If you go to the wall with the exact same thing time after time after time and you don't adjust at all, they're going to be like, you're an idiot. Like, you don't try something different, you're an idiot. Like, I think you have to show a little bit of that along with the mental acuity to kind of pick things up quickly. In a practice, I would imagine you can get an idea of both of those things.
I have to think so as well. I mean, an old analogy, and John Jones, if you're watching, I doubt you remember this, but it'd be fun. If you keep getting cut blocked and you don't start using your hands, you're just going to keep getting your knees chopped out from under you. So it's the way that it goes. So learn, show something. Cody, thank you. Do you feel that Leo Chanel will have a breakout season? How does he see more playing time? Can he become another superstar? I mean, to become a superstar, they got to turn him loose and let him rush the passer, in my opinion, because there just isn't enough role for him with Nick Bolton back. If they had chosen not to bring Nick back, he could have slid into that middle spot and been a guy on the field a little bit more.
He just doesn't have enough playing time. And it's because they use it, of the way they use him.
I agree with Dan. I think we lost him here shortly. And it's not as drastic as Zach Vaughn.
Player.
Oh, there you're back. Sorry. That might have been me.
No, you're good. No, that was not you. It was not you. Trust me. It's me.
Okay. I mean, it's not like he's Zach Vaughn, but Zach Vaughn was a a free agent that exploded and now got a multi-million-dollar contract in Philly because he was misused or not used enough in his previous step. And it's kind of the same thing. Like my biggest fear is that you don't make Leo a priority re-sign and he goes somewhere else and blows the hell up because they just turn him loose and they let him attack the A gaps and they do all the things that we always talk about.
I am very concerned that Leo Chanel could be a better middle linebacker than Nick Bolton.
Oof. It's a tough one.
I know that might be, I know that might be like sacrilegious to some of you. I'm concerned that is a fact somewhere else. Like Ryan just said, I'm concerned.
Yeah, especially an attacking middle style. Somebody who will use him to his talent. Yeah, he very well could be. That's tough to swallow. That was my reaction. Not that you're wrong. That would be very difficult to swallow. Jesus. Dirty P, you got to work on that, dude. Eat healthier. And then I clicked something else. Sorry.
No,
do you think you're going to trade
for the same thing?
Oh, okay. Well, Dirty, thank you.
Put a super chat through. Thank you.
I'm glad you cleaned it up. Let's work on the bugs in your system, though, pal. Between the avatar and the name, I don't know. Eat some greens for God's sake. Here, do it. Could you see Nico or Sky cut? They don't win a ST roll. If they don't win an ST roll,
did you see the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Oh, sorry. I literally just let it pass through my brain because Dirty, your second point is exactly what I think. I don't think it's even plausible. And if he were in Kansas City, he would instantly be hurt because that's my luck.
Sorry, Dirty. I tried to help you out there. I confused Ryan beyond words because you had it in there. Then you were so kind to go ahead and give us a super chat, which we very, very much appreciate. The answer is no on both accounts. They're not going to trade for a running back his cost, and it's not feasible for the Chiefs to do that when they don't care that much about the running back position. They'd much rather put draft investment and draft capital into it than trade for someone like that. At least I don't think. No,
I agree with you. And Dirty, I'm sorry. I'm tired and confused. I'm an old man. Back to the fun one.
Yeah.
Could you see Nico and Sky cut? They absolutely could be. I like what Nico showed, and I think he has more upside, but competition is competition for a reason. You don't win, you don't stay. There's no the days of 7 wide receivers is freaking over.
Yeah. You got to show me something. You got to show them something at wide receivers specifically, especially because you bring in a guy like Bashard Smith who can be possibly a Pro Bowl caliber type of special teams guy for you. And if Nico doesn't give them more as a wide receiver, then, well, it's hard to make the roster if you have that situation already figured out. I did present this as an idea earlier in the show, but we'll find
out. I just want to say this out loud. Julia Gulia, if you are who you think I think you are, it is very different when you're ginger. I'm just going to tell you that, okay? We get a little bit out over her skis, okay? We're a rare breed. We're coming for the world. If you both could pick one person to have a breakout year, who is it?
Oh, man, a breakout year. It's George Karlaftis. It's George Karlaftis. And I know that we've talked about FAU, but realistically, George Karlaftis having a I won't even go that lofty. A 13 sack season would be perfect. It would be exactly what the Chiefs need to have somebody that can do that. I know he had 10 and a half a few years ago, but a bit more, just a bit more can bring him to that echelon with Chris Jones where you can see the vision. Everything else kind of figures it out, but you can get him to that next step. I think it makes your defense that much more formidable.
I can't say Travis Kelce because it couldn't be a breakout year for him, but I do want to see him end with a big season, with a big flourish. Like that's what I hope for. But for a breakout year, I want to see 5 interceptions, a pick 6, and literally knocking someone cold from Jaden Hicks. That's what I'm here for. I want the next Ronnie Lott to show up in Kansas City. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
It's little things that I wish for at Christmas. It's
yeah.
Who's better, Jared Wiley or the UDFA from this year? I had them graded very, very closely. I had Wiley at the bottom of the fourth, and I had Bristol at the top of the fifth. At that point, it's nearly the same grade. What do you think?
It's not close for me.
Yeah.
You guys, I've talked about this pretty often already. I'm not a Jared Wiley guy. I am a Jake Brenningstool guy, like hardcore. I think he can be a very good, particularly with how he matches up in this offense, learning from Travis Kelce. I don't know if there's a whole lot of, I guess, hyperbole that I could put on what I believe he could be.
Because it's all there to be had.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Y'all rock. Thank you, Caroline. So do you. If you guys haven't seen Caroline's latest piece, go to NFL33.com because she's doing a bang-up job. And she wrote a piece on the Chiefs, which I think you might want to read. So
maybe
get subbed over at NFL 33. I was curious if you think that Bossa would be used in any special defensive packages in a hybrid safety role, coverage specific stuff possibly. His role seems a little bit unclear. And you're absolutely right. It does seem unclear because I thought they'd be looking more for a straight will, like a guy that'll eventually replace Drew Tranquil as he gets a bit older. But no, it seems like he's more like they could drop him back a little bit, almost to where they put Hicks last year, but that he could be the middle of the future if Nick gets hurt, or he's a green dot guy. He can call the defense. Like he gives them more dynamic range in the middle of the defense.
He can play all three positions on the defense in terms of linebacker, and then he can give you kind of dimebacker upside as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting dynamic when you bring him in. I think out the gate, we're talking about a special teams guy. Guy's going to give you everything you want on special teams, and he's going to be very useful in that regard. But because of his multifunctional, I guess, linebacker specific stuff, by calling the defense at Oregon, you have something there. Like they don't want to be in a position where Jack Cochran's playing defense. I'm telling you right now, they don't want to be in a position where Jack Cochran is calling plays out there in a linebacker. That's exactly what this pick is, with upside to do other things.
Yeah, because in reality, if you're going to see 11 personnel so often, you're going to be in nickel so often, you got to have two linebackers on the field at all times, right? Like you have to have that propensity. If Nick goes down, you have Trank, and Boss is a better coverage guy than Leo is. If Leo goes down, he's strong enough that he can come in and help Nick Bolton when Trank isn't out there. Yeah. Same thing. Either those two guys down, he can man the middle, make the calls, let Drew Tranquil go do his thing. I think Drew Tranquil needs to play lighter this year. He needs to be more of a real will. So I think he's the master key. He can do it all. And he's better right now than my guy Cam Jones is, who is better, in my opinion, still than Jack Cochran is. So it's an upgrade all the way around. How many more years do you think we still have Chris Jones?
The rest of his contract, at least.
Yeah, just 2, right? I'm double checking.
So. I think you're right. I think this year and next year. No, wait. It should be a 5-year contract he signed, right? And that's 2022, wasn't it?
Was it one of them like a void contraption to do stuff?
I don't remember. Either way,
no, you're right. You're right. So he is not a free agent. He agrees. He's dumb. He will not be a free agent until 2029, following the 2028 season, where he will be 34 years old.
That's it, right there. There's your cutoff.
There's a possible out at 2027, but only if he fell down in his effort and athleticism, which I don't see.
If he woke up and his leg just didn't work, you're like, okay,
right?
Well.
Right. Don't follow the email scams. Don't let them take a kidney or nothing, Chris. Okay, we're going to need you for the length of the contract. During draft prep, a team gets 15 minutes with players. How would he use that 15 minutes to get to know a player? Seems like such a little time. It's a great point, Travis. And some teams take the idea of, I'm going to push your buttons. I'm going to try to get you to react. I'm going to try to piss you off. There's been some teams that go over the line, calling people's mothers' names and all kinds of stuff. For me, I want the guy to do as much talking as possible. And as soon as he goes down the road, I want to switch him gears. I'm going to just instigate and pepper him with change of direction so you can get to where it's more instinctual answers rather than anything rehearsed. That's what I would be doing.
I like that, because at the end of the day, you don't know how these guys think in general. You have no idea. So if you can get them in a room and just talk, but then you're going from this to this, you want to see how fast they process information. For the most part, these guys are all intelligent football players, and the Chiefs, that's what they value, right? So, but for me specifically, like I've never been able to know what these guys have in their background. Like that's not, I don't have access to that information ever. So like it was mentioned in the comments that Braden Swinson has off-field stuff. That was never reported. No offense to the bootleg guys. I love what they do for the NFL. I don't always trust them with college stuff, and that wasn't highly reported anywhere else. So again, I can't just trust what they say. I need you to tell me that specific stuff. Talk about it. Go into detail. So I like what Ryan gets at, but like I want to talk to the person, them in the room, and get to know them. Like not even non-football stuff, just see what they like. And if you can see how quickly they respond to stuff that they do, you have a much better idea of the person they are, because it's not like rehearsed. If it's a conversation, it's not that them just answering block answer, block answer, block answer, it's a better idea.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Travis. This is a great question. Mike Wallace, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. Josiah as Izzards, little bit of tape looks good. Am I wrong? And I know his contract isn't worth a lot, but he did sign for 3 years. Yes, it's not like a heavy dollar sign, but that's pretty standard. Even though some of these guys signed, with what they report the money and stuff, it is a multi-year contract if they make it. So don't read too much into that. But I do think he is a guy that has a shot as well. My problem is when I looked at this tape, it was up and down and all. It was a roller coaster, like every single game. It was not consistent at all, and that's my concern.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to it. I just have the raw numbers, which again, the reason that he's in Kansas City is because it's the up and down, but because there is up.
Yeah,
there is up, and they want to see what they can do with that.
That's a good call. Thank you, Mike Wallace. Nice to see you. All right. With Rice's suspension and injury, who will Mahomes be his go-to receiver? Do you have a feeling?
First of all, don't expect him to be suspended this year. I don't expect him to be suspended this year. It's May, guys. It's May. Yeah. I'm expecting 2027. Or 2026. Sorry, excuse me. If anything, again, this is May. I've read some stuff, not heard anything about movement in the case at all, which would push it back. The go-to receiver is going to be Rashee Rice when he's on the field. And when he's not, it's probably going to be Xavier Worthy. The relationship is there. I think that they would want it maybe to be high because he's on a year. Mm-hmm. You don't want that relationship to necessarily be the focal point. You want Xavier Worthy, who's a first-round pick, who developed a little bit last year in that regard, to be that guy if Rashee Rice is not there. So for me, it's Xavier.
I like the way you're thinking. I think it's more 50-50. It would be dependent on who gels quicker. But the real answer is Travis Kelce. I mean,
correct.
He's always the first option. So especially if she's not there. Yeah. And last one. Thank you, guys. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell. Hit all the outlets. And we'll have more new outlets for you coming. So when we have news, we will share. Boston coverage and Chanel and the overhang blitz. I love that, especially when the way they used to use Willie. I think they ought to do that more, and I think they ought to just make guards cry by just blasting the A gap over and over and over.
It's what they should do.
Come on, Joe. They don't. Talk to Steve. Let's get this done. We got a plan. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great around here as well. We have some stuff coming on the food and beverage side, so don't miss those. And the tech channel that I started a long time ago, never got going. It's about to become something completely different. And it's going to be, I think, very cool. I hope you guys will check it out. I'll have the name for you in the coming week or two. And it's going to be based on some of my travels and what you can get out of some of it as well. It's going to be cool. So cool. Have a great night. Dan, any news for you or anything cooking this week?
Not really. You guys, it's gonna be kind of a backdrop for me. I'm gonna work on the members video. We're gonna have the film review of Omar Norman Lott on Wednesday. And because I'm not at TDN anymore at the Draft Network, I have quit that job. I'm gonna try to relax a little bit. I'm gonna go golfing, I think, this week for the first time in a year. So I'm excited about that.
I have a brand new club that I got to use once.
Yeah.
As soon as volleyball season's over.
Yeah. I know.
There's 3 weeks between the end of volleyball and the beginning of training camp. So
there you go.
that's my window. It's going to be great. You guys have a great night. Watch out for Dan's reports from the links, and have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.